Coming up, we have stories about Christmas visits or lack thereof, stealing the wedding spotlight, friend group drama, getting thrown under the bus by your partner, giving into peer pressure, disputes over gas money. We also have spicy stories and a cake story. Hey there, it's Dusty with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for not paying for my child's mother to visit for Christmas? I have sole, legal, and physical custody of my daughter who turns 1 on New Year's Day. I've been her primary caretaker since she was a newborn. Things turned out this way because her mom had planned to give her up for adoption. I tried to go along with that plan, but ultimately couldn't. Her mom, my ex-girlfriend, and I are not together. We broke up before she even told me she was pregnant. We met in college, which is several states away from where I'm from. I had already relocated back to an area closer to where I'm from before she told me she was pregnant. She still lives in the area the college is in. She is still working on graduating, but has been struggling this year. So originally, she didn't really want any updates, photos, etc. of our daughter. She agreed to give me sole custody, but she is still legally my daughter's mother. I've respected her wishes and updates and whatnot, but also let her know I'd be open to sharing if she changed her mind. A few months after our daughter was born, she reached out and asked for an update and to see pics. We didn't talk every day, but she started regularly checking in. Then a few months later, she asked if she could visit. I didn't know how I felt about that, but I understand I have to separate my own feelings from what's best for my daughter. Ultimately, I think it'd be good for her to have her mom involved in her life. Anyway, she wanted me to pay for her to come visit. I told her no, I couldn't afford it. I was 24 years old and raising our baby on my own. Sorry. She seemed disappointed, but didn't really mention it again. Then a few weeks before Christmas, she mentioned wanting to see our daughter for Christmas and her birthday. I was annoyed that she'd bring it up like 2 weeks before Christmas, but I tried to be nice about it. And then she asked me to pay for it again. I told her no. I'm going to go ahead and red flag this here. I really want to see her. And I want you to pay for it. I don't think anybody in OP's shoes here would be like, sure. The truth is that I had the money this time. I could have afforded a plane ticket. I could have let her stay at my place if need be, although I really hated the idea of that. I told her I couldn't afford it. I just don't want to pay for her to come out here. She pays nothing in child support, and honestly, that doesn't bother me. But if she wants to come here and visit, I think she needs to pay for it. Of course, she tried to guilt trip me and accused me of keeping her from her daughter over Christmas, and that I should be lucky she's made this so easy for me. She sent me several messages on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day about how I kept my daughter from having both her parents with her for her first Christmas and that I'm evil, I'm Scrooge, etc. Was I the asshole for not paying for her to come see our daughter at Christmas? Edit! I officially have sole legal and physical custody ordered by the court. No need to comment to advise me to speak to a lawyer to officially get custody. I have it, and it's been in place for well over 6 months. She also literally just turned 22 and is in college. She has no money. There is no money for child support right now, and I want her to be able to finish school. Child support could increase in the future. Okay, so I'm going to give you my personal thoughts on this here, OP. When you have a child with another person that you are not with and disagreements start popping up, you have to revert back to the agreement. The agreement should be the thing you can always fall back to if you can't agree on something different, right? You have sole custody, but she's legally still the mother. There's got to be some kind of structure in there that says if mother wants to see or have a supervised visit with the child or a visit, unsupervised, whatever, there has to be some kind of process that she has to go through. Travel is not, travel and amenities are covered by no one. That's on her. And there's got to be some kind of documentation that says that's not on, well, no, unless there's documentation that says it's on you, it's not on you. There has to be some kind of process for her to be able to request that, though. X time ahead, subject to approval, whatever it is. Having that kind of structure in your document always allows you to fall back to it and say, look, well, if we can't agree on something different, the document says this, we have to follow the document. If you don't follow the document, you get in trouble. So there's that. She changed her mind. That's a her thing. She's wanting to come see her daughter. That's a her thing. And if she wanted to come see her daughter bad enough, she would find a way to make it happen. Don't you think? Yeah, I mean, also putting myself in her shoes, I'm sure she's wrestling with this hard, but she made a decision. And she has to understand that popping in randomly to try to be a part of a child's life randomly isn't healthy. She's got to be aware of that. And right now, her expectations of you, OP, I call bullshit on. I think she's trying to guilt you because guilt is something that can work, right? But go back to the agreement. What does the agreement say that she can and cannot do? What access does she have? If it's none, it's none. You have sole, legal, and physical custody. She probably has no source for visitation here. And if she wants to do that, she's going to have to go through a lawyer to request a modification. And unless there's been a change in circumstances, that probably will not happen. So you have every right to say no. Anything beyond no is you doing her a favor. That's it. Doing her a favor. And I think you, OP, have to be really guarded here. And I know there's a part of you that feels guilty too because your child doesn't have her mother in her life. And you're like, yeah, it'd be great for her to have her mom in her life. Maybe. There's a lot of potential damage that can come from a parent showing up for a very short amount of time. And you're talking about like a couple days, maybe? And then disappearing again. There's no stability there. There's no relationship that's going to be built there, especially not a maternal one. There's not going to be any opportunity to build a relationship there. And if that kind of pandered, that kind of random pattern continues, that's only going to cause damage to your child and confusion. There's no good that will come from that. Your ex is really struggling with her decision right now, but that decision was made. Legally, it's been made. Wendy Taylor, it sounds like she has no rights since she was giving her up for adoption. OP says she's still legally her mother, which means she's on the birth certificate, right? But she has no rights to the child. The question was, am I the astronaut for not paying for my child's mother to visit for Christmas? Hell no. No, and I would urge you to look at the bigger picture here. And now that you are a parent, you're a new parent, right? You have a baby. So you're probably not yet thinking long term. You're thinking short term, right? But think about the long-term effects. What if your ex shows up a couple of days per year and plays mom while she's there? Imagine the confusion that could cause within your child, and then multiply that by 5 years. And think about when your kid's, 5 turning 6, this could be a really confusing, damaging thing for your child. So hell no, you're not the asshole for not paying for it. I would urge you to really think hard about the structure that you would use if you did allow her to come have a visit. And I would say, putting myself in your shoes there, like, okay, you can come visit like at X number of times throughout the year. However, when you're visiting, you are not going to start saying things like, I'm your mommy, because you're not. It could be really, really confusing. Hey there, it's Dusty with another story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for stealing my sister's wedding spotlight with my emergency C-section? This past weekend, my younger sister got married. It was a huge event, over 200 guests, a fancy venue, the works. My husband and I attended, despite my being 38 weeks pregnant. I was feeling fine, and my doctor had cleared me to go as long as I stayed close to home and didn't overexert myself. During the reception, I started feeling some cramps. I thought they were just Braxton Hicks contractions, so I tried to ignore them and focus on the party. About an hour in, the cramps got worse and I started bleeding. My husband and I quickly excused ourselves and headed to the hospital. Long story short, I ended up needing an emergency C-section to deliver my son. Thankfully, everything went well and our baby is healthy and safe. The issue? My sister is furious with me. She claims I ruined her big day because several family members left the wedding early to come to the hospital, including our parents, who understandably wanted to make sure that I was okay. She says that I should have waited until after the wedding to go to the hospital, or at least not told anybody what was happening until the next day so the focus could stay on her. Also, there's more to the story, but I would like to point out right now, OP made it through the wedding, was at the reception, and that's when she started to feel cramps. And about an hour later, that's when she had to leave. And they quietly excused themselves. So she didn't make a big show about this. I apologized for the timing, but I reminded her that this was a medical emergency, and I didn't exactly choose for it to happen during her wedding. My mom and dad are on my side, but some of her friends and even a few relatives are saying that I'm selfish, and I could have handled the situation differently. My sister hasn't spoken to me since, and now I'm wondering if I really did something wrong. Am I the astronaut for going to the hospital during my sister's wedding. Edit for clarification. For those who might ask why I attended the wedding so late in my pregnancy, I cleared it with my doctor beforehand and had no prior complications. The hospital was only 20 minutes from the venue. I had no way of knowing this would happen. Okay, there is an update. Before we dive into an update, thoughts right now. I mean, there's no way it's anything other than NTA. Sergeant Mac, yeah, OP was actively bleeding. She's like, you should have waited. You can't control that other people left to come make sure that you were okay. You can't control those other people, and she's mad because your parents left? I'm sorry. You are in mortal danger. Your sister was just having a party. The wedding was over. It was a reception. I understand it's all part of the same thing, but you didn't make any choices for anybody. She's mad because other people left after you left. Shouldn't she be mad at those other people who left? It's not like you were like, you have to come here now. They made their own decisions as grown-ass humans. She's jealous. She wanted her attention. I get it. That's her problem. She can deal with that. Meanwhile, you learned a lot about your relationship with your sister because she doesn't care if you are in mortal danger. If it comes between your life and her attention's going to win every damn time. And that's important to know, is it not? Yeah. Update. Thanks for the mostly supportive messages, everybody. They are greatly appreciated. Update is my sister and I have now spoken via phone. She's on her honeymoon and has yet to meet the baby. This is fine. She's still angry, but more at the situation than me. So this is a welcome shift. Just to all who had asked or speculated, no, I did nothing to draw attention to myself during the reception. My parents noticed what was happening, and word naturally spread among the guests. This was beyond my control. Let me know what you think. Did I mess up, or is my sister overreacting? Your sister's overreacting. That's it. Your sister is overreacting, and she's also a big old bizzo to even have an issue with this at all. And the conversation you had with her on the phone, where like she's on her honeymoon and she's not mad at me, she's just mad at the situation, I don't care. That doesn't make it better. That doesn't make it better. Yeah, I'm sorry that people giving you your flowers and fanning you and you getting treated like Cleopatra for the entire day got cut short by like 30 minutes. Yeah, super sorry about that. I almost died. If she's mad at the situation, does that mean she's mad at the baby? Is she going to hold a grudge against your child because of this? Maybe. Maybe. She sounds like a real special bitch. LMB, she's only worried because that's what some people will remember, the baby's birth. No. Hockey mom, yeah. I don't... Yeah, which just reinforces the possibility of her holding a grudge against your child for this. So OP, while you are wildly NTA... which I think we've already stated here, but just to make sure, while you are wildly NTA, a word of caution, she may harbor these feelings and let them rear their ugly head against your child at some point. So I would just be monitoring that relationship very closely. Hey there, it's Dusty with yet another story for you. This one is Am I the Astronaut for asking my friends to support me over another friend. I met Ava on a dating app 3 years ago. We dated for a month. I wasn't feeling it, so I broke it off. Later, we reconnected and became good friends. But it was always apparent that she was hoping for more. I've told her I only see her as a friend and I didn't want to lead her on by hanging out, but this wanting more has always been there under the surface. Now and then it would come up, ergo, life would be so much easier if you loved me back. That's grounds for a friendship timeout, sir. Or ma'am. Yeah, you can't, it becomes really apparent that if somebody says life would be easier if you just loved me back, that it's not the platonic friendship that you think it is. You're in denial. You're in denial. You're just stringing this person on and you're in denial about it. When I started dating my girlfriend, this became an issue, so Ava and I didn't talk much. My main group of friends, known for 10 plus years, had a falling out over this girlfriend. My girlfriend and I had a rough start, and they didn't support the relationship. They also could not resist making their hatred known to my girlfriend and me. It came to a point where I didn't talk to anybody in this group for several months. My girlfriend and I broke up, so I began reconnecting with Ava and my friends. Ava revealed to me that she had reached out to my friends while we weren't talking. Ava was concerned about me, and they shared this mutual dislike of my then girlfriend. She also said one of them had invited her to a Halloween party that we would all be at. I had reservations about this, considering she's had difficulty with her feelings, but I felt that I was on shaky territory, so I figured it was best to go along with it. Yes, it felt like a very volatile situation, so I said YOLO. This Halloween party was the first time Ava met everybody, and they all hit it off. We ended up hanging out a couple more times, and I could see that this was something everybody wanted to make into a normal thing. Her hanging out changed the dynamic with my friends. I wasn't able to relax and be myself. Well, yeah, because your future captor is right there. I finally said something to Ava and told her we needed to stop hanging out, and her feelings made me uncomfortable. I told her she was a great friend, but I could feel she was getting the wrong impression, and that now being ingrained into my friend group was making it worse. She took it terribly and said she couldn't help her feelings. I also told my best friend, who I've known the longest, about my talk with Ava, that it made me uncomfortable, that I should have stopped it a while ago, and that I wanted to say something now before she started getting invited on trips with us, and it just became permanent. He responded that she's our friend now too, and he's going to be neutral in it. Everyone will be invited, and Ava and I will have to work it out. I told him if she's going to be there, I won't. To me, it's not being neutral. I told him I expected him to understand his best friend of close to 20 years and support me over someone he just met 2 months ago. He stood by his initial stance and told me I can't tell him who to be friends with. Bleh. Okay. It's different. That's different. So the question was, am I the astronaut for asking my friends to support me over another friend? Now we have the full context. What you said, NTA? I don't know if it's an NTA though. I don't know if it's an NTA, because you still have to understand that, yeah, you can't ask people who to be friends and not be friends with. Now you can, what you did, I don't think you've done anything wrong here. So maybe you are NTA, but, generally asking somebody to be friends with, or asking someone to not be friends with somebody, you can't do, right? It's not exactly what you did. You're just like, hey, we've been friends for 20 plus years. Doesn't that have more gravity than somebody you literally just met? And your bestie's like, not really. I think you need new friends. I think that's the moral of this story. Like, if you know that your friends stopped being your friends because you started dating somebody that they didn't like, first of all, you're probably the asshole in that situation for letting your friends just disappear and for not maintaining some kind of tether there. But that also happens when you get in relationships. Like, you start doing life with this person and your time for friends does fall to the wayside. It does happen. So it's complicated, right? There's nothing easy about it, but you knowingly re-engaging with a friendship with someone who you know has feelings for you that they can't suppress or ignore or get rid of means, to me, that means you actively chose to lead this person on again. And that sucks. So I think I'm ESH here. The friends suck. OP, you did a couple shitty things in here too. I understand you expecting your friends to give your relationship with them more gravity than Ava. You cannot enforce that upon them. You cannot ask that of them. However, their actions and their answers here tell you a lot about your friendship with them. And I think everything's in jeopardy now. So it would be best for you to just clean slate this shit. Maybe move, because I have a feeling you're going to end up in a glass box, and just get away from all of them. That might be the best move here. I do think it's an ESH. Twisted says, sounds like Ava is so obsessed with OP, she sabotaged his friend's opinion of the girlfriend. I thought that too, but then OP said that Ava admitted to reaching out when they weren't talking because she was concerned. The friends told her they had a problem with the girlfriend. I don't think they magically had that problem. I think she probably got to them first, and she caused this. Like, I'm concerned for you, OP. She's persistent. Persistence can sometimes lead to some strange places. But why would you choose to engage with that? It's like you're inviting your stalker to go bowling. Doesn't seem like a great idea. People do grow apart. Sure. But I think in this case, the friends were manipulated by Ava. That's likely. And then I think they probably have been talking this whole time. And even though they just met, Ava just met the friend group, she had hooks in them already. So she must be a really good manipulator, which is why she's so like perplexed that her manipulation hasn't worked on OP yet. And she's like, I'm not giving up. I've won over your friend group. Next, your parents. And then you're in a glass box. Don't be friends with people who are obsessed over you romantically. There's the moral of the story. Come on up, Tater. Heat lamps on.
No, I just have a question.
Because
there's so many still ESHs, and I still think it's NTA, but I don't need you to change your opinion based on what I'm going to ask. But what if Ava is a persistent stalker narcissist, and she's doing all this, saying things behind OP's back to his friend group to cause a divide, because she's already got him isolated. They're already choosing her over him. And what if she's manipulating both sides of the equation, and she's got him like right where she wants him? He's isolated. He's alone. He's lost his friend group, lost the girlfriend that he had. I don't know.
I'm still ESH.
I still think there's thoughts.
That's a consideration. However, he still openly admits that he knows she has feelings for him.
I have a thought for that too.
Okay.
He said, I just went along with it because I didn't want to rock the boat. And
so he's scared of her?
No, it kind of sounds like he's a people pleaser and was already having issues with his friends and didn't want to lose his friends by trying to ice her out. And then when it became apparent that this woman is still pursuing him, even though he said, I don't have feelings for you, that's not going to happen, she then pursued the friend group because she was worried about him. I don't believe it. She feels crazy to me.
Oh,
I get crazy vibes.
I get crazy vibes too. However,
I think he master manipulated this guy.
I still ESH.
Yeah.
Because he's an asshole to himself for stepping further into a trap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's no, like, he should have done this differently. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody says that, if somebody says life would be easier if you just loved me back, like, that's the moment you walk, right? And maybe change your phone number.
But when she's infiltrated your entire life at this point, I'm just basing this off.
You just lay down and wave the white flag and you're like, I'm fine, I'll love you back.
No, I think that he needs to find new friends.
Yes.
Because if his friends were willing to listen to this, someone you know for 20 years versus someone you know for 2 months, and they're willing to.
So he feels crazy at this point.
He does, because no one is seeing it from his point of view. And I get that, and that's what a person of this caliber of manipulation would do. And again, this is all theoretical. I don't know if this is true or not.
She's a mastermind.
What if she is? That's it. That's all.
What if she?
You got it.
Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder. Title of this story is, Am I the Astronaut for wanting to break up with my partner for throwing me under the bus? If it's a physical bus, definitely NTA. I've 24 female, been in a relationship with my partner 25 male for a year and a half, mostly long distance. His parents are quite strict and traditional. Recently, we had an issue that I won't go into detail about, but to summarize, his other relatives were involved in providing him with illegal substances. When his parents confronted him, he fully blamed me, claiming that I supplied them just to cover for his relatives. Yeah. Threw you under the drug bus. That is not good. Not good. I was deeply hurt and shocked by this betrayal, especially knowing how traditional his parents are. I've made efforts to build a good relationship with his family, but he jeopardized it all. His parents immediately blamed me, saying I had corrupted him. Eventually, a few hours later, they discovered he was lying, as I told them the truth, and his entire family apologized to me and reprimanded him. While I appreciate the apology, I'm more upset that he was willing to damage my relationship with his parents just to save himself. Hold up, OP.
He's Ross.
He is Ross.
He's Ross.
But also, you're more upset that he was willing to damage your relationship with his parents? What about the relationship between you two? Was there no damage done to that? It feels like a betrayal on a different level. To his credit, he has never done anything like this before. No cheating or suspicious behavior. He's always been a bit stingy, but I never realized he could be this selfish. He has since been texting me nonstop trying to resolve this and asking for forgiveness. He's also trying to apologize to my mother in person. I'm struggling to decide if I should end the relationship. He's been there for me during my worst times, but I'm unsure how to move forward. Should I continue this relationship? We had planned out our future together, but I'm not sure if he would repeat this behavior again. Thank you for reading. Sorry if this is all over the place, as this is very, very fresh. He is Ross. He's Ross. Luanuna said, OP, where's your self-worth? You must run away from him. I agree with this. I think the trust is broken now. This casts a shadow onto every potential situation you may encounter as a couple, particularly situations that his family or parents might be involved in. If his parents are involved, there's a greater risk of him lying, right? So that's a problem. That's definitely problematic. I don't know. Putting myself in OP shoes, would not be hanging around to find out. I mean, that's first strike, right? But it's a pretty big strike. Not even trying to blame it on someone else, like lying about it, but lying about it at your expense. And I think when people do selfish things at the expense of people they love, they're assholes. And he was an asshole here. He is trying to apologize. An apology is not enough. And he, if you do proceed, must recognize the damage that has been done to the trust right now and how you could see this potentially causing a lot of issues down the road. Also, sounds like old boy needs to be in therapy. He's got some serious issues with his parents that caused this uncharacteristic response in him. It unlocked something that isn't there otherwise. That needs to be explored, and he needs to deal with that before your relationship can be as solid as it needs to be. If he is willing to do all these things and proves it, your call. Otherwise, no. Too big of a risk. It's too big of a risk. Yeah, OP, I can see how the immediate alarm bell is, why would you do that to me with your parents? But the bigger alarm bell that I hope came second was, why would you risk our relationship like that over getting reprimanded by your parents? Isn't that okay? Not okay. Title of this story is, Am I the Astronaut for Breaking Up with My Girlfriend for Giving In to Peer Pressure? My ex-girlfriend, 27 female, and I, 29 male, had been together for just over a year. I broke up with her last week after yet another situation where her inability to stand up for herself crossed a serious line. The first red flag happened 5 months ago. She came to my apartment after a night out with her friends and confessed tearfully that she had made out with another guy. Her excuse? Her friends were pressuring her to loosen up and live a little, and she didn't want to look uptight in front of them. I was furious, but decided to forgive her because she was honest and apologized immediately. However, I told her that this wasn't okay, and we agreed that she wouldn't go out drinking with those friends again, since they clearly did not respect her boundaries or mine. Fast forward to last week, she told me she was taking a mental health day and would be hanging out with friends. What she didn't mention was that she was heading out to a cabin in a small town with those same friends. I found out when she texted me after the fact, casually saying she'd be back later that evening. This was frustrating enough. I don't think it's unreasonable to want a heads up about a trip, especially with friends I've already expressed concerns about. When she came over the next day, I pressed her about what happened. She initially said that it was just a relaxing day with the girls, but something about her tone felt off. I kept asking, and after 3 days of her denying that anything unusual happened, she finally broke down and admitted the truth. One of her friends had been pressuring her for weeks to join in some bedroom activities with her and her husband. My ex claimed she'd been saying no repeatedly, but eventually gave in to the pressure and went to the cabin with them. She swore that nothing happened and that they didn't go all the way, but at that point, it didn't matter to me. I told her the relationship was over. I explained that while I understand feeling pressured, going to the cabin was her choice. Staying friends with people who constantly push her to violate her own boundaries and mine was her choice. I also told her she needed to seriously think about why she surrounds herself with people who bring out the worst in her. She cried and accused me of blaming her for something she didn't have control over. I told her she absolutely had control unless they dragged her to the cabin at gunpoint. Her decisions were her own. Now her brother is texting me saying that I'm being too harsh and that I should be helping her work through her issues instead of walking away. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's my responsibility to stay in a relationship where my trust and boundaries are repeatedly disregarded. So, am I the astronaut for ending things? Yeah, she doesn't need to be in a relationship for sure. He's NTA. Now, he's NTA, and like I said in the very beginning here, or like I've said a couple of times in this stream already, if you want to be with someone, be with someone. If you don't want to be with someone, don't. Don't. You don't have an obligation to stay when she repeatedly did things that she knew were not okay and then came back and denied them. Also, tell me you went to a cabin with these people and nothing happened. Bullshit. Also, you came back and lied about it. It took 3 days for you to tell the truth. How am I supposed to trust that you are telling the truth about anything here? There's also another side to this where she gets seriously manipulated by these people, and it's a serious problem, and she really does need help. That's possible. But it's not OP's job to help. She's choosing to be selfish at his expense, or she's being manipulated, and the effects of that are also at his expense and hers. But she has to understand that the expectation that somebody would stick around and see through this, that's asking a lot. That's a tall order to ask of someone if that's all legit. I call bullshit, of course. I call bullshit. It took 3 days for her to fess up to it. Yeah, that's a choice. She's lying. It's not because she didn't want to divulge information because she was embarrassed by it. No, she actively lied to you. She's actively lying to you. She has learned to use guilt as a tool to get people to feel sorry for her so she can have her cake and eat it too. It didn't work with you, so now she's lying to her brother because she's probably sleeping on his couch right now, and he's just getting all the guilt, and he's like, you're a dick because I have to deal with this now. Well, too bad. He has a choice too. Maybe just less of one than you have. He's bullshit. What do you think? Ladies and gents, we got one of these for you. It's spicy time. Spicy, like dramatic time, not spicy, like exposing, just in case we need to. It's not book talk spicy, it's just spicy, like dramatic spicy. Am I the astronaut for refusing to walk my daughter down the aisle? I, male 49, have 2 daughters, Marie, 27, and Julie, 23. For context, Julie is not my biological daughter since I married my current wife when she was only 2, and since her dad was absent, I adopted her as my own, but I love both of my daughters the same. Green flag. This being said, I am closer to Julie since she has and still lives with us, and we do almost everything together. Julie is the younger one. Instead, Marie is closer to her mom, mainly because her mom got full custody of her and has never lived with me. Now to the main issue, Julie got engaged about a year ago and immediately asked me to walk her down the aisle. I, of course, agreed and have actively helped her with the planning of the wedding, which is scheduled to be in October of 2022. A couple weeks ago, Marie asked me to go grab some coffee with her and let me know that she's currently pregnant and will soon get married. To be honest, this caught me off guard since I didn't even know she had a boyfriend. She apparently will have quite a fast wedding since she doesn't want to show too much, meaning her wedding will be in 3 months. She says it'll be a small ceremony and asked me to walk her down the aisle. I felt weird about it since I don't even know her fiance and it's all so sudden, so I asked her to let me think about it. It seemed like this answer surprised her, but she understood. I then went home and let my wife and daughter know, and Julie asked me to please decline since she wanted to be the first to be walked down the aisle, and since she asked first, she thinks that I have a stronger commitment to her. I agreed since this is more of an us thing rather than an afterthought like Marie's wedding. Okay, I'm throwing a red flag here. There's more to this, but okay. I understand you're wanting to know more about the situation. I don't think your willingness to walk her down the aisle should be dependent on having that information or not. And then when you get home and your other daughter is like, please say no because I want to be first, that's not cool either. Okay? That's not cool either. Like, that's a game. It's a game where they're risking your relationship with your daughters. I understand you have less of a serious one with your first daughter, but I don't feel like you're being transparent here either, because saying no because you don't know who the fiance is or you have other questions, I feel it's just as easy to say, who's the father? Who are you marrying? Like, I have so many questions instead of, let me think about whether I'll walk you down the aisle or not. It took just as much effort to just ask the question. I then sent a message to Marie letting her know of my decision with a brief explanation and even offered options like her mom or stepdad to walk with her. I also reassured her that I'd still be with her there and support her with anything, except not really. She almost immediately called me crying and telling me of how horrible a father I am and how I apparently have always played favorites, which hurt me since it's simply not true. I love them both. I tried to explain my reasoning, but she said it doesn't matter and doesn't care about my excuses. She ended up hanging up, and my ex has been sending me tons of texts berating me and calling me names. Now word has spread to some family members, and they are calling me a deadbeat dad and trash, but my wife and daughter agree that my decision is the only fair one and shouldn't be pressured into doing something that I don't want. I'm starting to feel guilty, but I'm honestly unsure. Am I the astronaut for refusing to walk my daughter down the aisle? To me, yes, you are. Edit, I don't know what to do now. These comments have really opened my eyes on how horrible I was to my daughter. I feel like I've been oblivious to several things I did and allowed to happen. I feel like the worst asshole there is, and I don't even know if there's room to fix it. I'll try to reach out to her, but after reading your opinions, I doubt she'll accept, and I totally get that. Top comment, YTA, you clearly don't love your daughters the same if you can withhold your support and love from one of them. Your daughter asked you to be by her side at one of the most important days of her life, and you're like, nah. Unbelievable. Maybe you don't think you're playing favorites, but you clearly are. And maybe July has also been rubbing your relationship in Marie's face over the years. Julie, it's supposed to say. Why else would she insist that she gets to be first to be walked down the aisle by you? That's some crazy controlling and jealous behavior. Being the first to walk down the aisle with you is Julie finding a way to prove that she's better than Marie, and you're tolerating it. She clearly believes she's in competition with Marie instead of feeling joy and celebrating with her. That's petty and nasty. Well, I guess you won't have to consider Marie's feelings at all anymore, because she's definitely going to go no contact after you treated her so abominably. All right, there is an update. Before we get into that, let's talk.
Damn.
Let's talk. Reddit took care of it. Heck yeah. I'm so glad that he felt this, and it sounds like he's got a realization now that it's even worse than we initially knew, because of what he allowed to happen means that worst case scenario here, his wife and daughter have been manipulating him to keep distance between him and Marie. To what ends, though? Like, I do not understand. Like, she wants to be first. She wants to be the golden child. You could still be the golden child, and he gets to have a relationship with Marie. He says we never had much of a relationship because her mother got sole custody. Well, that doesn't mean that you can't have a relationship. Build a relationship. It takes work. You build it. And clearly, she was still open to having a relationship with you because she asked you to walk down the aisle with her, and you're like, let me think about it. Wrong answer. That's not the right answer. I can't imagine treating one of my kids this way. Ever. Twisted, I voted Ascon 2 originally, but I changed my vote to Ascon 1 to Lulu Brozo. I'm with you. I am with you. At least he's willing to learn from his mistakes, Sarah. Yeah, but like, he just jumped into an ice bath. That's what he's feeling right now, because the veil has been lifted, and now he's realizing that he's been manipulated, and now his relationship with his wife and Julie, the younger daughter, are now in jeopardy as well. He's been manipulated. Like, everything's being exposed right now. All right, let's dive into the update and find out. Before anything, I want to thank everybody who gave their opinion. Though harsh, it helped me see how much of an ass I was. Now to the update. Tons happened after my post and since my edit. I tried calling and texting Marie, but she rejected my calls. Eventually, I was able to talk to my ex, who told me Marie wasn't in the position to talk since I put a lot of stress on her and could be dangerous because of her pregnancy. Didn't even think about that part. An even bigger asshole now. You know what? I'm going to put you through a bunch of emotional bullshit while you're pregnant. I didn't want to cause more harm, so I stopped bothering her, but I did let my ex know that I felt horrible and wanted to apologize. She once again called me out on my BS, but agreed on talking to her. On Tuesday, she finally answered my text and agreed on talking, but only over the phone and with her mom there. Of course, I agreed, and we had a long but productive talk. As a lot of you guessed, she has been bottling up a lot of resentment towards me and Julie's relationship, and has opened up about how she always feels left out and pushed away. She actually told me several events I wasn't aware of between her, Julie, and my wife. Yeah, thus the allowed to happen comment he had earlier. I apologized profusely and offered to walk her down, and surprisingly, she accepted my apology, but said she isn't ready to accept me to walk her down the aisle at this time, since now the thought of it makes her mad and sad. I understood, but insisted that I will if she asks again. We agreed on my meeting her fiance, as many of you suggested. It'll be later in the week on Sunday. Turns out they've been dating for almost 2 years. She never thought I'd care, so never introduced us, and I never stopped to ask about her love life. She's still hurt, but is trying to stay stress-free, so I will try to keep it that way. She didn't ask for anything else, but didn't uninvite me either, luckily. I did offer her to go to therapy, but she said she's already going, but agreed on looking on the possibility of going together. As for Julie and my wife, I talked to them earlier today. I held on telling them to sort out things with Marie first. I sat them down and confronted them about how they had treated Marie. My wife didn't say much and said that she didn't have time or energy for that conversation. Julie denied everything, which I of course don't believe. Then I dropped the bomb and everything exploded. My wife asked why I'm babying my daughter and allowing her to bully me into changing my mind. I couldn't help but laugh seeing the irony. She ended up being fed up and leaving the room. Julie got mad immediately and asked me why I was ruining her special day and everything we worked for. Not gonna lie, I did feel sad seeing her upset, but I let her know her wedding and walking is still happening. She started crying and stayed in her room all day until now. She's 23, right? Yeah, 23. My wife is currently ignoring me and I'll probably have to sleep in the guest room. As for now, I'm looking forward to being there for both of my daughters and future grandchild. I know Julie will get over it eventually. She tends to be like this. So Reddit, thank you for helping me see the dumbass I was and helping me to maybe salvage my relationship with my daughter. Oh, P, you got a long way to go. Like, okay, so recognizing, being aware is the first step in turning something around, right? But now you're aware that you've been doing tons of damage for a long time. It's going to take a ton of work and a long time to work to a healthy. You're not in a healthy place right now with anyone, and that's the unfortunate reality of this. It's gonna get worse before it gets better, because to get better, you had to create some boundaries at home, and you've kind of done that, but I think you're still very, very, very vulnerable to being manipulated on the home front here. You got a long way to go. I know that with everybody. Yes, cut the bullshit. Also can't blame, I don't think you can blame your wife and daughter for this happening, because you made it happen too. You're her dad. You should be aware of the damage it was creating. You should be aware of all the failures that you've had here. Now you are, but it's not just them. It's like this all happened together. Now they could be sources of damage, and that's the part that you have to limit here, right? So you've got to keep a real close eye on things. It seems like Chad has this sentiment where it's not about Julie. This is stemming from his wife, and it could be a real possibility. That really could be a thing here. But I think as a dad, I mean, at least you know now, just understand it's going to be a lot of hard work, and consistently choosing the right thing, asking the questions, being aware and being involved, but being present. At bare minimum, being 100% present to both of them moving forward is going to be very important. Title of this story is, Am I the Astronaut for Refusing to Give My Boyfriend Gas Money? My 20 female boyfriend, 23 male, have been dating seriously for about 6 months now. He lives about an hour away from me, which was never a problem in the past when we drove to see each other. Recently, he has been working a lot and has been asking if I could drive to his place more frequently, because he's usually very exhausted as he works a very physically demanding job. Me, wanting to be an understanding girlfriend, has had zero problem with driving to see him, and he is truly my favorite person, and I love seeing him. Side note, neither of us are financially unstable. We both have great paying jobs, both have willingly supportive families if we ever needed help. Well, this changes things. I think I drive to his place far more often, and I have never had a problem with the drive taking up all my gas unless there is massive amounts of traffic that causes me to be driving for almost 3 hours on my way back home. But even then, I'll just buy my gas myself, and I have no problem with it being wasted on him. Last week, I had a talk with him asking if he could possibly drive up to me this time, as I had an incredibly busy few weeks ahead and would really appreciate it, as we haven't seen each other in a while, since I haven't driven to see him in a minute. He agreed in a very sullen tone that kind of irked me, but I remembered that he is very consistently exhausted from work and brushed it off. Until yesterday, the day we agreed for him to drive up comes, and on his way to me I get a call that consisted of him complaining about how this drive took up a lot of his gas, and he said, quote, "You need to pay me gas money for this trip, for here and back." I, being confused, asked, "Is there a lot of traffic?" He responded, "No. Just driving all this way has sucked up all my gas, and I feel like it's only fair for you to compensate me." I reply, "I get that, but I've just never personally asked you for it before." He responds, "Well, if you did, I would." I said that we would talk about it once he gets here, trying to avoid a disagreement, but instead he decides to hang up on me, and I guess turns around. I check our shared Life 360 about 30 minutes later when he was supposed to get to my house, and it shows him already almost back at his house. I tried to call him multiple times, but he only texted me that I was being unfair and ridiculous. Am I the astronaut? I think we got it right, y'all. I think we got it right with NTA, and it wasn't even the kind of situation that we were talking about where it was, he's going to bleed you dry and destroy your credit. No, he's just a dick. This is way easier. He's just an asshole. Oh yeah, I want you to, of your own volition, to drive up to see me, and when you drive up to see me, you will pay for it. The whole, if you had asked, I would have paid for it is bullshit. Him asking you this, I feel like, is a signal that there's something else going on. He's got a reason to not 100% want to come see you, not want to spend time with you. What would make that okay? I can't imagine doing that while dating somebody. You've been dating seriously for 6 months. 6 months is still pretty early into a relationship. Can you imagine if I had asked you to pay for my gas when I came over to see you, and 6 months after dating? No, we wouldn't be dating. You're right, we wouldn't be. It's worse that it's not about the money. It's worse. It just means he's an asshole. And you didn't even say no. You said, "We'll talk about it when you get here." And his response was to turn around and go home. He didn't want to see you, girlie. I'm sorry. He's just not that into you. He had something better to do at home.
The second that I was turning around.
Yeah. Wow. Asking in the first place is being unfair and ridiculous. So him saying, I don't know, that's bullshit. He's definitely a brozo. We'll give him that. His time is more valuable than your time. His gas is more valuable than your gas. That's the message you need to take from this. I would not stick around for this. Cake the Rogue said, "I just stopped to get gas and it was packed with the incoming snow tomorrow." Oh yeah, this guy's probably there somewhere. I think you could probably imagine the vehicle that this guy drives to. We could probably describe it to a T. But everybody in their own parts of the world has their own version of that guy, right? So it's going to be something different for everybody. I don't like it doing a distance thing, even if it's only a few hours apart, would still be tough. I like to see you. I'd like to come home to my person. That would be really difficult. We'd be like doing FaceTime calls and watching shows together and doing commentary throughout. That'd be fun. It'd be fun. Title of this cake story is Am I the Astronaut, female 28, for getting mad about my family eating cake I bought for New Year's Eve. I know that there can be bias, but I always feel like my thoughtfulness gets taken advantage of, especially by my family. Let's start right there. This has been a pattern. Gift giving and helping out with things like parties is kind of a love language of mine. My mom, female 49, went New Year's Eve to buy my family some dessert platter from a grocery store. When she brought all the groceries home, she knows she bought it, but she left it at the grocery store. I wasn't necessarily upset, but since I have a big sweet tooth, I offered to go out and buy dessert myself and even went to a local bakery instead. When I got there, a lot of their stuff was already sold out, only some packs of one flavor of cookies and some croissants, and then there was one party platter of cake samples, brownies, and cannolis left. I asked how much it was, and they said $33, which was decent for something local and a bigger amount than a whole cake. Flash forward, I actually ended up going out for the first time ever on New Year's Eve with friends and left the cake platter for my family. I did try a cannoli. It was small, and half a square slice of red velvet and this lemon curd cake. There was still a lot left, like there were 10 cake square samples, 4 brownie squares, a round cheesecake slice, and 3 cannolis. I planned to have some cake on January 1st after work. My day off was New Year's Eve, but literally when I had 2 hours left of my work shift and came home at 7 p.m., I started feeling off. My stomach was growling badly, and I lost my appetite. Turns out it was norovirus, which I still have right now as I'm writing this on the 5th. So I had no cake and many trips to the bathroom. That does not sound fun. My appetite still isn't fully back, but I was looking forward to trying one of the other cakes or a brownie. My mom then told me that she and my brother, male 21, ate most of the cakes on New Year's Eve and only 2 slices were left. The ones my mom knows I don't like compared to the rest. I got upset, saying that she didn't even think of trying to leave me 1 or 2 flavors I like or even half the square. I told her that she should pay me for a part of it since I expected to also have some cake and not just leave me with stuff that's not my first choice. My mom said she has bought me food my whole life and says I should pay her back for everything she paid for me. I said it wasn't just the fact that they ate a lot of the cakes, it's that she never asked. She said I can't leave cake in there for a month, but I said that you guys didn't even think to leave me anything for the next day, even if I didn't get sick. She says I always make a big deal when I buy stuff, but I don't do stuff like this often unless I'm able to and in a good mood. I feel like anything I do something extra in even a small way, like buy local instead of Walmart desserts, stuff like this happens with my family. So, am I the astronaut? I don't know about you all, but this was exhausting for me. So, there wasn't communication here. So she bought it for New Year's Eve, left it for the family, and then somehow thought that the family had access to her thoughts and was going to be like, okay, she did have some of this already, but I think she's going to want more of it, so we should probably save these things. Yes, if people were super duper considerate, they might think ahead. That's something your partner might do for you. Unlikely that it's something your family is going to just automatically do, especially knowing that you had already had some of it. So you didn't communicate these things ahead of time. You just expected it of them. And I think when you have high expectations of people like this, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. Are you not? That's me. I feel like having these expectations of somebody and then bitching about it whenever you offered to go get the dessert for them and even say that you left it for them and you went out on New Year's Eve. There were still a couple pieces of something left the next day. It just wasn't the stuff that you liked, but you had already had some. If you wanted to make sure you had something set aside, you set it aside. Set it aside. Don't just expect other people to do that for you without you asking, without you communicating that to them. It's like, we parents cannot read minds. We humans cannot read minds. I mean, some people can, but ESH, everybody sucks here. She's whining about it 5 days later. ESH, but I'm also disappointed and now want cake. 0 stars. I'm with you on ESH here. It was, well, I don't even know that the family are assholes, honestly. Somebody left a cake for them that they had already taken some stuff out of, and they ate it. Sounds like she and her son might have had the munchies. That's what it sounds like. They ate most of it. Yeah. Had that New Year's Eve edible is what it sounds like. Yeah, for me, it's a communication issue. At OP, I don't think you can expect these things of people, especially not without communicating these things to them ahead of time. And ultimately, it's on you. If you want to make sure you have something, you do the work to make sure that you have something. Rely on, instead of assuming that other people are going to know that you're relying on them for something, it's a recipe for disappointment. So be disappointed less often by expecting less of people, especially when you're not communicating to them. Oh my goodness. We can't read minds. We can't do it. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.